Good evening and welcome to the virtual board meeting of the Board of School Directors of the School District of Springfield Township. And a reading of the mission statement. The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high-achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. Roll call, Mr. King.
Mr. Bedard.
Here.
Mr. DeFranco.
Here.
Dr. Etlin.
Here.
Ms. Jordan. Mr. Lapidus.
Here.
Mr. Needleman.
Here.
Ms. Sarsfield.
Here.
Ms. Slapinski.
Here.
Dr. Taratusky.
Here. At this time, we will take public comments on agenda items. If you wish to speak, you could use the hand raise feature, and we ask that you have 3 minutes to speak. Please state your name and where you are located in the township, and you can begin raising your hand now if you want to speak.
I am seeing the attendees and no hands raised at this time.
Okay, thank you. All right, approval of minutes. October 6th, 2020 interim Zoom meeting, board minutes E, and October 20th, 2020 regular Zoom meeting, board minutes F. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
And any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
As the motion has been read and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries.
Approval of the treasurer's report, treasurer's report D. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you. Reports and information. Finance Committee, Mr. Bedard.
Sure. I have an update from the Finance Committee. We met on November 11th, a spirited meeting as always, 90 minutes in duration. It was less spirited than usual because Mr. Walter Lapidus was absent from the meeting. However, we had Mr. Neil DeFranco, Ms. Gretchen Slapinski, myself, Dr. Hacker, Mr. King, and Ms. Braun. We also had our auditor, Mr. Ron Mininger, in attendance. Key things that we discussed was first a presentation of the audit for the school year 2019-2020. Really pleased to report that the audit found no material weaknesses in our internal controls and no findings. So congrats to Ms. Braun and Mr. King for another excellent year of oversight. And we have a motion tonight to accept the full audit report. As a follow-up to that, we did discuss a one-year extension of auditor services from our current firm, Bars, Gowie, Ammon, and Fritz, LLC. And we will see a motion on that for tonight's review for the board. We also discussed the status of our project bond funds, specifically projects related to the high school renovations, Enfield, and the new athletic fields project at the old Enfield location. Finally, we reviewed the 2021 and 2022 preliminary budget. This will be presented in our December 1st regular board meeting reviewed by Dr. Hacker. What we spent a lot of time is really discussing the impacts of, kind of the material changes year over year, specifically COVID, and how our operations need to adjust in order to respond to COVID-19. There are various impacts across both the revenue sources and then the expenses required to operate schools in this pandemic. We also discussed the fund balance and again, the impact that the short-term changes relative to COVID-19 would cause, and the desire to utilize the fund rather than have this reflected in tax increases to the public. Again, the full details of this will be reviewed in our December 1st meeting, and the administration is going to be working on ways in which we work from the preliminary budget to a final approved budget later in 2021. There were no public comments, and the next meeting is yet to be scheduled.
If I may just chime in again regarding the audit, I just want to give another shout out, as Mr. Bedard mentioned, to Katie Braun and the entire business office staff, as well as all the departments that feed the business office. The endless procedures that we implement for oversight, checks and balances, and things of that nature. It's really a district-wide honor. This is another year in a row that we've had no findings and no significant internal controls issues. A lot of that has to do with a lot of procedures that Katie and the staff have put together over the last several years in many different areas, tightening things up, having good oversight and good communications with the department. So I appreciate everyone who was involved, all the schools and departments throughout the year, and certainly at the end of the year when we have to gather all of that information. So we are in good shape. So thank you.
And thank you again, Mr. King, and also to Katie Braun, as you mentioned, and your entire business office staff. I mean, I know that I have watched over the years as you have worked with your staff members to implement new procedures, change some old procedures in order to make things more robust and to be able to have, as you mentioned, better checks and balances in terms of watching and tracking the flow of the money, and also ensuring that we have an excellent handle on not only what our revenues are, but certainly what our expenses are and what we can manage as a district. So many thanks to you and to your entire department, and to Katie for all of your hard work and oversight.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thanks, Mr. Bedard, for that summary, and thanks, Mr. King, for your work. Okay, Dr. Hacker, administrative report.
Okay, I just have a couple of brief announcements. First of all, on behalf of the entire staff, student body, and certainly the board, I want to take this opportunity to express our deepest sympathies and condolences to our board member, Tamita Jordan, whose father unfortunately passed away yesterday, which is why she is not here with us this evening. We all send our thoughts and prayers to Tamita and to her family. Secondly, I know that the announcement that came from the county with the mandate to close schools next week, when we ordinarily would have been closed anyway, as well as the week after Thanksgiving, was met with some concern from many families across the county. I do believe that the Office of Public Health, in conjunction with recommendations from the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, epidemiologists and scientists, was made in the best interests of the families as well as the entire county community in order to prevent further spread. As we all know, there has been an increasing surge in the number of cases of the coronavirus, which has caused deep concern both regionally as well as across the state and throughout the country as well. And I think the OPH is trying to work together collectively with all of us in partnership to try to get a handle on this, and is using the school closures as a mitigation strategy to prevent further spread after the holidays. We're all very hopeful, of course, that we might be able to go on a different tack after the week after Thanksgiving. But of course, getting the virus under control after the holidays is going to be a significant requirement on the part of all of us to do our best to try to watch our own practices and behaviors and to limit the events and gatherings that will be in place in order to help try to stop the surge and reverse course. So as of right now, it's a little premature and early to be able to predict what the impact of Thanksgiving will be. But my guess is that hopefully during the week of November 30th, we will be able to alert our families in terms of what things will look like in the final 2 weeks before the Christmas and winter break. So we will see at that point what direction we will be taking. So thank you everyone for your cooperation in working with us to try to help stem the tide of the spread. And with that, I just want to thank everyone for all of your efforts in terms of getting students back into school safely. We have had some positive cases, but we've kept those at a low level. Families have been very cooperative about keeping children home when we've asked them or on their own volition. We've had a very, very small number of staff members, and they also have been very gracious in terms of understanding their responsibility and staying home. So thanks to everyone for your cooperation and understanding. We're all trying to do the best we can under challenging times, especially when folks have to quarantine and stay home. So with that, I hope that everyone has a very safe and wonderful Thanksgiving. And in order to ensure that everyone can be gathered around your family table next year for Thanksgiving, we hope you'll limit the number of people around your Thanksgiving table this year. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hacker. All right, let's move to new business. Number 1, personnel. In the personnel attachment, the Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment: the administrative personnel, certificated personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, extra pay for extra responsibilities, and conference workshop attendance. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
As the motion has been read and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, emergency instructional time template. The Board of School Directors approves the submission of the emergency instructional time template to the Pennsylvania Department of Education, assuming a minimum of 180 days of instruction for the 2020-2021 school year. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions?
I just had, if you could just give us a brief idea of why we have to send this form in. I did look at it, but I'm still scratching my head.
Yes. So under ordinary circumstances, we're required to provide a minimum of 180 days of instruction to all students as or 900 hours or 990 at the secondary level. And with the COVID pandemic, what this does is assure the Department of Education that whether it is through our normal face-to-face contact with students and in-person schooling, or in combination with virtual instruction through technology, that we are still assuring the Department of Education that students will be present for a minimum of those same 180 days. So that's what this assurance does.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 3, Philadelphia Young Playwrights. The Board of School Directors approves the agreement with the Philadelphia Young Playwrights for the middle school teachers to participate in the core in-class playwriting program for the 2020-2021 school year for the amount of $4,750. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 4, audit report, year end 6/30/2020. The Board of School Directors approves the Finance Committee's recommendation to accept the audit report for the year end June 30th, 2020 as prepared by Bars, Gowie, Ammon, and Foltz, LLC for the School District of Springfield Township. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
Number 6, Business Administrator. The Board of School Directors approves the election of Ms. Kara Michaels as the Business Administrator for the School District of Springfield Township.
Excuse me, Dr. Taratusky, I believe you
Go back to
forgot a
5.
motion.
Sorry, back to the Independent Auditor. Sorry,
It's all
I'm
right.
moving ahead. All right, let's go to number 5. Kara will be right with you. Independent Auditor. The Board of School Directors approves the appointment of Bars, Gowie, Ammon, and Foltz, LLC as Independent Auditor for the year ending June 30th, 2021 for the amount of $16,500. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? Okay, Mr. King?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
All right, so now here we go. Business Administrator. The Board of School Directors approves the election of Ms. Kara Michaels as the Business Administrator for the School District of Springfield Township, effective January 25th, 2021 through June 30th, 2023, at an initial starting salary of $174,000 per year, subject to the provisions of the contract between the School District of Springfield Township and Ms. Michaels, and further subject to an official motion to elect prepared by the district solicitor. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions?
So before the vote, I've asked Dr. Yannicone, who was in charge of the selection process for the new business administrator, to talk a little bit about that process so that everyone has an understanding of the procedures that we went through in order to find, as hard as it is, a replacement for Mr. King. Does anyone know, is Ms. Michaels in the audience this evening? She is? Excellent. So I just want to say, before Mary Jo has an opportunity to talk about that process, that I haven't yet had the pleasure of meeting Ms. Michaels. I was not a part of the process purposely, since Dr. Yannicone is going to be the one forging that new partnership with her. But Kara, I just want to say that I'm saddened that I'm not going to be able to have the opportunity to work with you, given the fact that I've heard so many wonderful things about you from your current boss, Dr. Marseille, and of course from many members of our interview committee. And I know that you can't respond to me through the meeting because you are not a panelist, but I just wanted to let you know that, and to certainly welcome you to the district, even though your starting date will be after I will have left. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Yannicone to say a few brief things about the process.
Thanks, Dr. Hecker. And I agree, it will be very difficult to replace Mr. King. And I appreciate the fact that he's doing everything he can to make sure the transition is going to be really smooth. So thanks, Mr. King. The administrative team is very happy to recommend Kara Michaels tonight at every step in the search process. Kara rose above all of our other candidates in the eyes of the interview committee. Ms. Michaels is currently serving as the business manager in Cheltenham School District. She has served there since March of 2009. And she has been responsible for all aspects of the business manager role, including not only financial oversight, but contract negotiations. She has supervised food services and transportation and facilities, as we currently have in our own school district. So we're very excited that she was interested in joining us And over the course of the 3 rounds of interviews, and thanks to so many of you on the board who were able to join us in the final round, we've also been impressed with her personal character and really been interested in the fact that she's expressed commitment to equitable practices and an interest in serving as both a leader and a team player. And her references, as Dr. Hacker just mentioned, are outstanding. Her current superintendent told me she's a superstar, a confidant, and a very highly respected member of the team in Cheltenham. And they're very sorry to see her go. And we are excited to have her join us late in January after she's had a chance to formulate and present a preliminary budget in Cheltenham.
Thanks, Mary Jo.
I would just like to say, I'm very pleased. I think the district is going to be in great hands. You know, retirement's a funny thing. You know, you work, you do all this, and you want to make sure that you're leaving it in good hands. And Kara's going to be great for the district, and the district's going to be great for Kara. So I welcome her, and I look forward to working with her on the transition. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
not done
King.
yet.
Not done
No,
yet.
not done yet.
Yeah.
While we have, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
May I say a few things while we have this very brief moment of silence? I haven't expressed this to Mr. I've known Mr. King probably as long as he has known his children. And I feel like one of his children, but I think he has done a remarkable job. I don't know if any of us really care or recognize it, but it'll be sad to see Mr. King out there fishing and hunting and whatever it is you do with the pelts that you collect. But, we wish you a wonderful retirement. Well, I personally, I don't know about the others. They probably could care, but I wish you a wonderful retirement, and I look forward to 2 days from now, I think, right?
Thank you. And it's daycare for my grandchildren and house improvements. Not hunting, not fishing, not relaxing.
Riding your motorcycle.
Not yet.
He's too old for a motorcycle. Maybe a scooter, one of those Vespa things.
No, it's got
light
over
blue
60
ones.
degrees. It's got to be over 60 degrees before I get on that thing.
Yeah, for me, it's having my kids push me in a chair. We'll get to that later.
All right, well, we can only have one retirement at a time. So, and we're electing Ms. Michaels to this position. So
yes.
let's focus back on, there is a motion on the table, and Mr. King, can we have a vote, please?
The motion has been read and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? Excuse me. All opposed? And the motion carries. Congratulations, Kara.
My pup is wishing you congratulations also. I apologize. This is the problem of being on a Zoom call at home. Number 7, payment of staff. The Board of School Directors authorizes the payment of non-essential support and confidential staff at their regular rate of pay for the time period of November 23rd through December 4th, 2020, if telework is not available, subject to the requirement and understanding that said personnel may work make-up days scheduled later in the current year and compliance with any applicable laws, collective bargaining agreements, or other binding contractual commitments. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All right, Mr. King?
As the motion has been read and seconded, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion carries.
This time, we will have public comments on non-agenda items. Again, if you choose to speak, if you could please state your name, your location in the township, and we allow about 3 minutes to speak so that everyone who wishes to speak can be heard. Okay. Steve McGuire.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Steve McGuire, Flowertown. Our school district mission statement calls for, amongst other things, the development of citizens who are responsible. Unfortunately, the leadership of this district, both paid staff and elected board members, have failed to set a good example on many occasions over the past few months. Over the summer, staff worked hard to develop a plan to return to school safely in a hybrid model for older students and in a full person model for younger students, giving parents the option to participate in a full virtual model. In that way, they were demonstrating responsible citizenry. They were doing the job they were either elected or paid to do, and they were empowering parents to make the best decisions for their families, including if that meant learning from home. However, as other local districts abandoned their reopening plans, staff leadership, citing those districts as part of their reason for changing course, and the elected board both deferred in their duty to represent the 70% of parents that opted for in-person instruction in some form. Instead of making the strong-willed decision reflected by the people they represent, you board members punted and just went along with the crowd. In the last board meeting, when discussing reopening plans, staff leadership once again mentioned other local districts that were reverting to all virtual models and indicated that they may do so as well to reflect our neighbors' actions. The board offered no challenge whatsoever to that abdication of responsibility, and instead just went along with the crowd. Finally, last Friday, when an unelected Board of Health grossly overstepped their bounds and authority and unilaterally closed down schools against the decisions made by this duly elected board, our board superintendent meekly issued a tweet not only accepting the decision, but justifying and expressing approval of the reasons. And earlier tonight, that same leadership doubled down on that track. And this board president meekly thanked her for it. No discussion of engaging our solicitor to fight this gross overreach, just acceptance and praise for the illegal action. I moved to Springfield Township from Nashville, Tennessee 2 years ago. We chose a home here specifically due to the quality of the schools. Never in my wildest dreams did I believe that I would witness a board so deferent to other people who have no authority over this school district. Citing the decisions of other school districts is weak justification for any decision, and it is a cop-out. It is failing to act as the special citizens that you are, citizens that are chosen to represent the public as a whole. I don't care what the other school districts are doing. They weren't on my ballot, you were. More importantly, I have yet to see any board member challenge anything staff leadership, including our outgoing superintendent, have presented. A board that is rubber stamped to staff is failing in its duty. The students and parents of this township deserve better leadership that demonstrates responsible citizenship in its actions. And hopefully, come in May and November of 2021, the people of this township will rise up and unceremoniously show you all the door. And I will do everything in my ability to make that happen.
Thank you, Mr. McGuire. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Okay, with no other comments at this time. Future meeting dates. The reorganization and regular school board meeting is Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, 7:00 p.m. It's a virtual meeting.
Dr.
And
Zaleski, I think we do have one hand raised.
okay,
I'm not
sorry,
sure.
that came in later than I saw. Tracy Smith.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I actually had the message in the chat. I just wanted to say thanks for efforts for getting the kids back to school. I know it was not an easy task. My kids were so happy to be back and hoping we can get there again soon. I was wondering if there's an athletic safety plan in place for if and when the county and suburban want to allow sports. I was looking on the website last night and it looked like it was only for fall sports. I hope that we're ready to go, but we're given the green light. It seems that our fall sports went really well and there were no instances or issues with COVID within our own district, with even those that were moderate and high risk sports. We even won a league championship in golf and small school states in water polo. I would hope that there's a plan in place for basketball, swimming, cheer, and indoor track. We worked so hard to give these kids a chance to play and would like to, in the fall, and I would like to see the same take place for our winter sports. Just want to make sure that we're being proactive instead of reactive for when the county and Suburban One allows sports.
Tracy, we are in the midst of discussions across the county and particularly in the Suburban One League. No decision has been made about winter sports at this point. Obviously, the chief difference between the sports that you mentioned in the fall and the ones in the winter is the fact that the ones in the winter are indoors, and that does present a significant challenge as well as risk. But as I said, no decision has been made at this point.
Dr. Hacker, then we did have water polo, which was inside. And I was just was concerned, like I said, I'm just asking if as a district that we have a safety plan in place ready to go, because I know that I saw on Colonials that their plan included, kind of the different phases for indoor and outdoor sports as well. And, water polo was indoors and that went pretty well from my understanding.
We would have a plan in place if we were to move to the decision to have indoor sports, but Colonial, like our district, also has not yet made their decision.
No, I'm just asking if there is one in place. So if the county says in 2 weeks that sports can move forward and Suburban One agrees that they can move forward, are we ready to go? I guess is what I'm asking.
We have had those internal discussions, so we know what would need to take place, but we do not yet have a written plan in place for posting. We would have that available prior to sports being allowed to begin.
So that would need to be posted and approved before sports would begin it.
That's correct.
That's
correct.
So if in 2 weeks, if they approve sports to go, we as a district will not be moving forward because we don't have a plan approved. Is that correct?
Nothing will be taking place until at least December 7th because of the shutdown. Athletics are not permitted to begin until after the shutdown is over. So the shutdown is ending as of Friday, December 4th. If schools reopen and sports begin, it wouldn't be until December 7th. We have another board meeting on December 1st.
Okay, great. So that plan, assuming that they're given that would be reviewed and looked at prior to that date in the event that they are ready to go. Is that my understanding? Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are there any other questions or, any other comments from the public? Okay, seeing none. Again, future meeting dates, the reorganization regular board meeting will be held on Tuesday, December 1st at 7 p.m., which is a virtual board meeting. An interim board meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 5th, 7 p.m., which is a virtual board meeting. That's a tentative date. There are no board committees planned at this time. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope to
Happy
see you all on
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Hope to see you all on Thursday for Dr. Hacker's retirement celebration.
Thank you, Dr. Taratuski. Looking forward to it, trying to dry up those tear ducts as we speak.
Everyone will have their tissues handy.
Thanks. Take care.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
See you then. Bye-bye.